Hello everyone, welcome back to Imagine Not Being Leeds for my first live, so bear with me if it's not the best. I'm joined today by my pals Darren and Dylan from Onlyleedsbros. How are you doing, lads?
Oh, good, mate.
Oh, good, mate. How are you? Thanks very much for having us on. Pleasure to come on for your first live. Delighted to be here.
You're welcome, lads. I love talking to you guys. So, yeah, you were the only people I were going to get on for my first live, and then hopefully there'll be many more as we've got some stuff lined up, haven't we? So there'll be many more stuff to come.
Yeah, worse than
I
many.
really appreciate it, mate. Thanks a million, man.
That's all right. So I want to touch on a lot of the main talking points of the season. So obviously, you can do reviews and previews and go game by game, but I want to try and cluster certain moments and look at certain moments of the season a bit more in depth than what maybe people do looking at the season so far. So I want to start off, obviously, first place to start would be pre-season, and I wanted to know how you felt after 4 really good wins in pre-season against Hanover, Schalke, Harrogate and Valencia. How you felt going into that opening game of season against Portsmouth. I thought pre-season we looked really strong, real level of optimism, despite losing some key players, experienced players who might have been fringe players last year, but still experienced nevertheless, and also obviously losing some big key men early on in Somerville and Gray. I still felt really confident going into the start with that pre-season. How did you guys see it?
You want to start off there,
I'm
Dan?
going to go first. Hello. Am I alright? Am I in?
Yeah, you're in, yeah.
Yeah, go on. You crack on. Go on. Let you
go. Pre-season for me, it was like, as they would say, from the time that we got relegated from the Premier League, it was like the Premier League hangover. So it was like a 90 points hangover for me. That's what I was getting. That was the vibe I was getting from it. But pre-season, like you're watching games, players looked very confident and not like they were just at the losing at Wembley. If that's the vibe that I was getting from it. They were showing lots of positivity, just as a unit together. Like I know they were off building rafts and all, going through the lake and all, etc. So like it's a bit of crack at the end of the day, but they clearly they had that bond. So it was obvious that they were looking forward to the season ahead. So getting into the games of the pre-season, thought Joseph was brilliant. Obviously Somerville and Rutter no longer here anymore, but it was just a togetherness that I thought anyway. Especially not doing anything at Wembley. But yeah, that's kind of where I am when it comes to the pre-season, and we've been, as they say, ups and downs as it goes.
How about you, Darren?
I thought the pre-season was good. It was very positive. I think it probably put the blinkers on the whole lot of us, to be honest. I think we were all kind of rubbing our hands when we were seeing the football that we were playing. I know obviously Germany was a bit of a strange one when we went out there. There obviously wasn't fans being loud and embargo on games and stuff like that. It was all kind of a little bit strange, the whole kind of pre-season thing, but the results itself as a whole, and when you did kind of get to watch the games, even though we kind of knew the results, it was positive through the whole pre-season, and kind of going into the first day of the season. So me and Dylan said, you're bouncing down to Ellen Road, you're having a great pre-season, you're full of optimism and hope as you are the first day of the pre-season, and then we were just slapped back down with a wallop, weren't we, after Portsmouth, and then it kind of brings you back down to reality. And I suppose that's what pre-season is. You can't really read too much into it. It's just about getting minutes in players' legs, but it always kind of does feel you a little bit for good or for bad. Like you can have a really bad pre-season, you think that the world is against you, and you go in, you hit the season running. I think under Bielsa, I think we used to have kind of poor pre-seasons as well, didn't we? Like he didn't really matter about the results. It was just kind of his own play and getting minutes in the boys' legs. So yeah, I thought the pre-season as a whole was positive, and the start of the season again obviously wasn't great then.
No, it wasn't, lads. Yeah, cheers for that. Just getting to a few comments. Hey up, Danny. Nice for you to drop in, mate. I'm glad you're here. I expected you to be, but you never know. So, yeah. Listen to Danny.
Danny's always
subscribe. He's always here,
old Danny. I always hear his old
Much
Danny.
appreciated, Danny. Thanks a lot. Here's the missus. Thank you very much.
How are you, Elizabeth? Always here for the supporters out.
Exactly. Hey up, Jack. How are you doing, mate? Jack says, Could be better, could be worse. For me, it was similar to last season. Didn't have a full pre-season with a settled squad. Late arrivals during the transfer window, but came goodish eventually. Yeah, I agree, Jack. Yeah, I do. Like I say, I think I don't think we've had a settled pre-season for a while now, and we've got some excellent players, but that unsettled pre-season does tend to filter into opening games. I mean, last season it was probably worse than it is this season, as we know. But
yeah,
I think the boys have got going now, and a lot of credit goes to Farke for that. I think he's really good at handling sticky situations. He had a lot of them at Norwich as well. He had players he kept out. I remember, I think Cantwell, he kept Cantwell out when he was one of the best players because, it was causing problems. And we saw last year with Nanto. And this season, there'll have been some harsh discussions, especially after getting beat at Wembley. And I think Farke handles, the stuff off the field, maybe even better than he was on the field. That's something for other people to decide. But
and I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, I think he's a great coach anyway. But I think he really handles the tough things off the field really well. I think he gets that balance right between being your manager and being your mate. I don't think he's too harsh. I don't think he's too friendly either. I think he's got that balance quite right. And I think I think he masterminded a tricky pre-season. And like I say, we're going to Portsmouth flying. That's what we thought. So yeah, I just want to touch on. So obviously Portsmouth, you've got that game, but then so that was on 10th of August. Well, the Portsmouth 3-3, as we know, a bit of a chaotic game. Reminded me of a Bielsa game, really, just end to end. It was a good game if you were a neutral. Not such a good game when you're there as you guys were, and having some misses at the end. But you've got on 10th of August, obviously 3-3 against Portsmouth at home. I got this one as well. Middlesbrough at home in cup. Yeah, it's a cup game. Not too bothered about going through in cup. Don't expect us to win, but the cup in general. But early on, it's nice to get through a couple and get some of these fringe players minutes, like Geldart suffering now, people like that. It's always good to get them games, which hasn't happened. But then I remember vividly, and I really want to touch on that, feeling really flat walking out. I never leave early, but I think I definitely left 5 minutes early in that Middlesbrough game. And those 4 days were just even worse when I woke up on the following day to find out the news that Rutter were joining Brighton. So we've gone from this massive higher pre-season feeling really confident. We've lost players, but we look at that side after pre-season, we're looking really good. And then within 5 days, it feels like everything's fallen off in one week. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to, rather than touch on games specifically, just how you felt in that week. I'm assuming you'll have been down after Portsmouth, or even worse after Middlesbrough. You might have even took that away and thought, it's a cup game. But then hearing that off Georgie as well, day after that, it was a really tough week, wasn't it, to start the season, lads? What do you think to that, Dill?
Yeah, definitely. Me and Darren were at that game, so first game of the season. We try to go to every first game of the season, and believe it or not, it was my dad. My dad's first time to Ellen Road, so he's not even a Leeds fan, but look, he went anyway for the crack.
He is now.
Well, he is now, yeah.
Bought himself a Leeds jersey after the game, so that was that.
It was a special time for me anyway, and Darren. We both had 2 baby boys in the upcoming weeks to that. So I brought my son, he brought his 2 sons, and being outside on the road, obviously, was that kind of that vibe when you first see it for the first time,
Tearful.
Then the game itself. Yeah, as you were saying there, it was end-to-end football.
Yeah.
Didn't think Rutter played well in that game, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think there was definitely something going on with him before the pre-season, or kind of just after the pre-season. Touching on to Bogle and Firpo, they were glued to each other's hips. It was very messy, like in that sense. Me and Darren looked at each other a few times and say, "Is this like a specialty or something? Is he pulling something out of the woodwork here?" And just wasn't at all. But obviously Aronson's miss at the end. Look, it could have been worse. We were losing, but I actually feel sorry on the railings in Ellen Road, Darren. Do you want to touch up on that?
Go on, lad.
I think if I had been on the end of Aronson's shot, I would have went into the back of the net, because I caught that railings a merciful volley when he missed that chance. Like my foot was black and blue for the day. Not the smartest thing, but that's what Leeds United just brings out in you, just emotion, doesn't it? In a split second. And
do you know what the funny thing was? I'm not being smart. It was the steward to the right hand. I looked at you and seemed to say, and she wouldn't even get matched. Looked at you and said, "I bet that was sore." It was definitely sore.
It was definitely very sore. Yeah, but yeah, that's what Leeds United. That's what it does, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
How about you, Darren? How do you feel about that sort of first 5-6 days of the season? A lot happened.
I thought it was very tough. Much like what I kind of touched on about pre-season is you're going out to Ellen Road, and especially kind of us travelling from Dublin, you're going over the first day of the season. It's the buzz. You've kind of put Wembley to one side and you're like, here we go, start of a new season, let's park it, let's go up, and you've kind of all this optimism, and myself and Dylan are going through, like, you're waiting there till the team sheet comes out an hour beforehand, you're watching your phone, then you see, and then I was saying to Dylan, like, Bogle and Fairboy, I was like, oh, we have the best fullbacks in the league, these are going to be like Cafu and Roberto Carlos. I was like, I'm telling you, like, these are going to mop up goals, assists, everything. Like, my God, was I so wrong when I came out that day and turned around to Dylan, and I was just like, I got it so wrong. I kind of think first games of the season like that, much like what happened with Cardiff, the opening game of the season before, the 2-2 draw, a little bit mad like that as well. It's not really a barometer to kind of go off. I think both teams just go for it the first day of the season. You don't really have anything to lose. Portsmouth probably had a little bit of a bounce, if I'm not lying, coming up from League One. We obviously seen Ipswich doing it last season, and I think they kind of just went there, look, we've nothing to lose. I'm sure they were buzzing like that, being back in the Championship. Ellen Road opening day of the season, absolutely packed out atmosphere, unbelievable, and I'm sure their players were buzzing and up for it. Thankfully, we did get the point from it, because I think we were lucky to even get the point. I know Aronson missed the one right at the death. We could have won it, but we could have very easily lost it. So in the heat of the moment like that, when I volleyed the railings, you're like, how did we not win it? But when I think by the time I got to the Bremner statue, and I just said to Dylan, I said, look, it's not a bad point. I said we could have won it, we could have lost it. Take the point and we move on. Then Middlesbrough came, and kind of like the way every Leeds fan is. The cup doesn't really matter. You kind of want to see that rotation. You want to see the fringe players getting a couple of minutes. The disappointing thing for me, look, I never want to see Leeds lose a football match. I don't even like that if it's a pre-season cup game, especially at Ellen Road. It was just the way we lost. Like, if it had been a 1-0 loss, do you know what I mean? We played okay. You're kind of going, right, look, it's not too bad. I think it was just the way we played. We were horrendous, and it kind of just led on from Portsmouth, the bad kind of defending, rolled into Middlesbrough. And I felt really, really down after the Middlesbrough game, and I'm kind of I was trying to pull myself back on. It's only a cup game, but it was just the way that we lost the game was worse than the loss, if that makes sense altogether. It was just the way that we played them. You're kind of thinking these fringe players that are kind of meant to be our backup in the squad, are like coming in to kind of help that first 11. These are meant to be pushing these guys, and just none of them played well. It was just a poor match all around, and to be honest, it could have been more than 3, and I think that's what the frightening thing was. And then after the game, it just went from bad to worse. I remember just scrolling through Twitter and then seeing the news that Georgie was gone, and and you just can't believe it. You just feel like the world is just against you.
I would devastate.
Like, it was, because I think for me, I kind of had a sneaky feeling that what Parag said. Remember, he did the interview after the playoff final to kind of calm things down, and he was asked about Archie Gray, and he didn't really put the fire out on that one. He kind of kept it lit. So I had a little feeling. I didn't think he'd go as early as what he did. And then obviously Somerville gone, but the one player I really, really wanted to say was Georgie. We all just fell in love with Georgie. His football, his character, he was one of us. And Georgie gone, was like a knife to the heart. It kind of brought back Alan Smith vibes to me all them years ago when he went to school. It was on that similar kind of level, and it was just
with Somerville, Darren. You sort of expected Somerville to go, didn't you? Everyone sort of knew when we got beat.
You knew it,
at Wembley. You knew he'd go. Archie, what a shock! But you knew we could replace him as a generational talent, but you can replace him at that right back position, because I want his right back. So you could say Bogle's a bit of an upgrade for that position, not in general. But Georgie were just a big one, because Somerville were a main focal point as well. But everything sort of come through Georgie. And for me, as a paying fan who's a member, and I get to nearly every game, as you know, and it costs a lot of money. It soon adds up. Georgie's worth paying for. He's worth your ticket price just on its own. And he plays game like you play it in Park with your mates. That's what I loved about Georgie. So it was a really bad one. That I don't normally get too attached to players. Bloody 37-year-old. I aren't too bothered really. They just play for Leeds United. You know what I mean? I love the club. But I think if I'd seen him on the street and I had a marker pen, mate, they'd been signing me tits. You know what I mean? I'm not. I love him. I loved him. So that would have bad one. That was worst I felt in a long time. And to add that. To the 2 performances before, I were on floor. I won't lie. I remember where I was working, and I were on floor. I barely did any work that day, and I'm on price, so it wasn't a good day. But it's one of them, mate, where I think we're going to West Brom. Then we're on the floor. You've got Aronson. A few games before was Mr. Sitter. You've got Rodon, who can't pass the ball 5 yards. You've just lost your best mate, which I think they found out before Middlesbrough game, because I think you could see there was something
You
a bit
could
of
see
miss,
the
you know.
performance, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. The new one, you know, you could tell when he come on, he had a shot, I think it post that Middlesbrough game, but you could tell, you know, that it were going. And then they go to West Brom, and that damage limitations, it just sets up in a way we maybe weren't expecting, and he got criticised heavily. But when you think of everything going on, 2 losses, 6 goals conceded, Georgie going, he just shut up shop, and it's not the Leeds way. You know, we're not that kind of fan base. We're not happy with a point away at West Brom, because we're going to West Brom. They're a good side. You know, it is a fantastic point in my opinion, but there's a lot of people who say you should be going there and spanking them because we're Leeds United, and you know I agree with that to an extent. But you've got to apply context into everything in life, especially in football. And I think with that week, they needed just a game that settled everyone down, and you know, just don't concede. And you know, yeah, we didn't really look threatening. We only needed a goal to win game, and that didn't come. But I think we needed that clean sheet, and for me, that now looks a good point. Were you at the time disappointed with the game, or were you happy with that as a point, considering what had come before, or were you a bit gutted that we didn't push for win, lads?
Gonna go
I was still just fairly upset over the Rutter situation, to be honest with you. That's the way that I was when it came to that. Yeah. But like it was kind of the game that you expected Leeds to win. You know, you kind of got this vibe that Rutter's gone now, all the bad luck is gone, and now let's go and get the win, if that made sense. But going with that as well, like it is a long season. It's gonna take time to adjust. You know, these international breaks kill us as well. But this, I think it was a good point, if I'm being completely honest with you. You know, it's. I know what you're saying. Going to West Brom, like it's you want to win. You know, they're a good side, but as you said, we are Leeds United, and we should be smashing these. You know, we should be proving a point here. We're going to win this championship. But yeah, I actually genuinely thought it was a good point to put on the board. I think all points are crucial, and going back to what you said, Matty, a couple of videos ago, we're going to have games like that where we're going to lose stupidly. A draw or just give it away. Yeah. But then we're going to get games where we're going to be winning 3-4 now. And that's the way that this championship goes. But overall, with that performance at West Brom, I'd say I'd be happy enough with the point.
Yeah, I would have said the same. I think at that time, things were bad. Were really, really bad. And like you said, we were all kind of feeling the heartache of Georgie going. And I think Daniel Farke was as well. You could kind of hear when he basically announced it before it was even official that Rutter was gone, and he said it, good boys, and you could kind of hear in his press conference that he was very upset with Georgie gone, I think, and he was very surprised as well. So that might have had a lot to do with a little bit of needle that went on with the board, and you know, he came out then talking about number 10 towards the end of the transfer window, and I kind of see him. It was kind of the first time we've kind of seen him not digging out the 49ers, but kind of speaking against them. But the West Brom game, I think it had to be done. It just put a plaster over the bleeding, because I think if we went there and we tried to be open, we tried to be expansive, and the worst happened like that, we lost 1-0 or got a thumping again, it probably would have been Daniel Farke's head on the chopping block, to be honest. And I know that's kind of trigger happy, but I just think from the Wembley loss and still being early doors, and it was just everything going on around the time, Georgie going, the Middlesbrough game, like it could have very easily seen Daniel Farke lose his job. I watched it up at Dylan's house with him, and yeah, it was kind of fairly flat after it, but the result itself, when you're kind of saying, look, a point away at West Brom in isolation, context applied, it wasn't a bad point at all. If you look then at the results after that, no, it done the job. We had to put a plaster over the bleeding. So to me, yeah, not a bad point away at Hawthorns. They'll be solid at home. There'll be teams that'll go there that will get thumped. They won't even be able to lay a glove on West Brom. Really, really good side. So not a bad point going there and picking up a point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree, lads. Like I say, it just stood out to me, did that, when I was looking back at the 9 games, as you know, you'll have games where we drop points, obviously, but we're usually going to win. That stood out to me because that looked like a definite ploy that we went to draw, and that's not something we normally see with Leeds United. You know what I mean? It was just a poignant game where that's what they went for, but they got it, and for me, did his job there. And like you say, there won't be many people get many points there. They expect them to be top 6 with Corbran, and yeah, there won't be many people get that, so we'll take that. Let me just have a look at some of the comments.
Yeah.
Danny says, I once left when Jesse was here, when we were getting beat by Bournemouth 3-0, left at half time. I don't blame you, mate. Don't blame you. I hope you didn't come over from Ireland for many Jesse games, you two. I hope you didn't.
Do you know what? Matty,
Southampton.
We went over for Southampton 2-0. Do you remember Ward-Prowse scored the free kick? I was walking back up the concourse just after half time. I had a point in my hand. I was sneaking in past the steward. I'll tell him. But as I got to the top of the concourse, the ball left Ward-Prowse's foot and went in. I think that was probably the worst. I was obviously there League One days, like yourself would have been, Matty, and been through some of the absolute tripe. But I think Jesse Marsch for me was like the worst time. It was probably the least that we went over to see Leeds. Like myself and Dylan Wood got over 4 or 5 times a year. I think that year under Jesse Marsch, I think we went twice, Dylan, did we? It was just like, you can't accommodate going, paying that money, flights, trying to stay over in Leeds, trying to get tickets to go, kind of watch that type of football. You want to go and support your club, but it was just, it wasn't worth it to go watch Jesse Marsch's football.
Definitely not. We made an agreement
No.
on our channel there, not to mention his name again.
Yeah, we just agree not to mention him at all. It was just.
I've got two of my mates who are TV cablers, TV technicians, and they work for Ellen Road. They do alt work at Thorpe Arch. They do been to Bielsa's house when he were here, and they do at players' house to sort their TV systems out and that. And he was devastated. A game called Matty. He actually he had to go to Thorpe Arch, and they ripped out all the beds and stuff that Bielsa had put in for our players to rest during training and stuff. And he ripped all that. And my mate Matty, who was a massive Bielsa fan, had to fit the media suite that Jesse Marsch then had players watching Rocky films and stuff in, and he was absolutely gutted. But obviously, we're getting good money to do it and stuff, and that's his job. But yeah, he'll put it in, and they're watching Rocky, Independence Day and all these motivational movies. Yeah. And he was gutted because he actually had to fit the stuff. Just a little story there, but yeah, we're devastated.
No, that's deadly though.
I know
that. Good inside scoop there.
But then at the end, when you hear, I don't know if you watched the Under the Cosh podcast with Sam Allardyce, and he said when he came in to Leeds, he's never managed a bunch of unfit players. What he said, they just went completely, because I think under Bielsa, that's what we prided ourselves on, that we were the fittest team in the division, like probably across Europe. To go completely the other way, like you could see towards the end of that season that them players just weren't fit at all. Like they just had nothing in the legs, and that's what Jesse Marsch's media suite done.
He played the part well though, didn't he? It was like Ted Lasso for Leeds.
It was Ted Lasso.
He will, mate. He will. We'll move on from that anyway, and so if anyone hasn't subscribed to these brilliant lads channels, please take a look. Onlyleedsbros. A shout out for them. Evening here, mate. Hope you're doing well. And now we will move on to another cluster of games. We had an away win at Sheffield Wednesday that we won 2-0. Backed up with a 2-0 win at home to Hull. Also, the end of the transfer window with us bringing in Tanaka, Ramazani, Solomon, and Schmidt. So again, a bit of a time period again where, as previous, with a couple of losses and players a player leaving, we had a couple of really good results and a really good end to transfer window, in my opinion. Yeah, we'll touch on at the time we felt that 10 might be needed, but that was a really good period. I think about over 10-day period. That 2 wins back to back and bringing some proving to be really good players in at the end of the window. So how did you feel? How did you feel around that time? A massive lift from the draw at West Brom after a tricky start, as we've said, and then to go back-to-back wins against 2 tough games. Wednesday away has never been easy, and Hull's Derby as well. It's 2 tricky games, and clean sheets, 2-0-0s, and then to back that up with signing some really credible players in at the end of the window. I was really happy with that. How did you feel, Darren?
That kind of turned the tide down a little bit, didn't it? Because obviously, even after West Brom, you're still kind of a little bit down. You're kind of like, look, when are we going to pick up points? And then every game then looks hard after that, because you're looking at the fixture list, and before that you're going to say, Sheffield Wednesday away, Hillsborough, like we should be doing that because of the start of the season. I remember going into that game and I hadn't got any kind of hope. I was thinking again a draw, or I was like, they're going to be up for it. So I think it was a Friday night as well. It was a late night game at Hillsborough. I remember thinking going into that game, I was like, I just had such a bad feeling, but I was so wrong. We were really, really good that day. And the one thing that stands out to me was Dan James flick around the corner for the goal was absolutely class. We were electric that day, and that kind of, it gave us hope again, didn't it? It was like, right, we're on it now. Like we kind of knew where we stood with the players leaving. We knew what we needed to get in, and it was like at that game, it was like we knuckled down, Hull down at home again, a good 2-0 win. You're thinking Hull with where they finished last season, you're kind of thinking they're going to be thereabouts. Again, I was looking at another tough game, but two really, really good back-to-back 2-0 wins. And Pirro scored in that game, didn't he? That's when Pirro got his first of the season. Yeah, I thought at that period kind of just changed the mood a little bit that it was around Leeds and around Ellen Road at that time. It was kind of a little bit of negativity creeping in. There was obviously talks about Daniel Farke again, and it was just like them 2-0, them two back-to-back results kind of just stemmed the flow again and kind of got us all a little bit positive again about the season.
I think.
What about you, Bill, when it comes to the players we brought in as well?
Sorry. So going back to Sheffield Wednesday. So after the West Brom draw, I was kind of I'm going to say it in a how do I say this? Kind of like a movie kind of thing. This is going to kind of get started now, you know, that kind of way. So to be honest with you, that's where the pieces of the puzzle kind of came together for me. And I know this sounds mad and you're probably going to laugh, but I mean it was like a derby, 2-0, like great play from players, got to see Bogle, etc., you know. But the main thing for that was like everyone was together, and what I mean by that is even the fans, even the fella with the pie. Like I know it's crazy when I say it like that, but you could see like these lads, these players have just been through the mills over the last couple of months. Good friends of theirs leaving, great players. And to go out and put on a performance like that against Sheffield Wednesday, for me anyway, I thought it was great. I thought it was a great game to watch. Funny as well, obviously, your man with a pie. What a legend. Just a legend of a man. So, so that was good. So then obviously then the motivation and the confidence was there. So the bounce back for a Hull. Now, I didn't get to see all of the whole game. We were at a stag, so we kind of, the internet wasn't great. It was kind of cutting in and out. So kind of got to watch the highlights, but same thing again. It was the motivation and the confidence to, you know, we've done this. Let's go do this again. Like, you know. So look at the players as a unit were doing so well, and then obviously them coming to the transfer window, seeing, you know, different stuff on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it. Who's coming in, who's coming out. So it's kind of giving you that lease of life as well, you know. So then you knew that the club was kind of going in the right direction, you know, after these wins, and we're going the right direction. And they bring the likes of Tanaka, Rotwell, you know, all these new lads. So look, it gave us as fans that positivity, and now we can back the board, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. Like I say, it was a really tough start, and then all of a sudden you get to the end of the transfer window after a couple of wins, and all of a sudden, you know, we're gonna break the points record, and you're feeling really good. I know that with me personally, I'm super optimistic, but then like very Leeds, you think will happen. We get brought back down to earth with a game against Burnley. I'll just touch on that. I was there, and you know, I saw Matteo Joseph go through early on goal, and he puts that away. For me, it's a different game, and you're flying, especially like I say, coming off the back of a couple of wins, and I think that's a totally different game. But you know, a slip, a Matteo miss, and it's wide open again. And it would a great away performance by them. A very Scott Parker sort of performance. What I'd expect from Burnley, you know, tough to beat. But I think at that period of season, it was very much we were creating the chances and we were missing big chances. And even now, I mean, I feel a lot more confident. I feel like it's sort of clicking a bit better now. But earlier on in the season, it was like, put one of these away and open in 10 minutes, and I think we'd have put 3 or 4 past every team we played. It was we couldn't quite get that first goal, even though we were dominating and we looked really sharp. And like I say, Farke were getting a lot of stick. He got a lot of stick after the Burnley game. I've never seen anyone lose 1 in 5, 1 in 4, 1 in 5, and get absolutely, you know, abused like he were getting it. I thought, you know, it's Burnley. It's someone you're expecting to be in top 3, top 4 anyway. Similar to last season, we went away to Southampton and got thumped, and they were a promotion rival at the time, you know, same sort of stage of season. This is a narrow 1-0 loss at home to Burnley. And like you say, an individual header, a slip that cost us, which it's been individual headers really that have cost us, not tactics for me so far this season. But, you know, that was a bit of a kick in guts losing, but I didn't feel too bad after that because for me, you could see what we were trying to do. So I weren't too flawed by that result. I don't know how you guys were. I was okay with that. Not okay with losing, but like you said earlier, there's a way to lose a game, and if you're going to lose, let it be something like that rather than being a bad performance. When you've gone to see it, lads, if you can see effort, if you can see just a few moments that go the other way, and for me, we're winning that 2-3-0. So I weren't too downbeat. Let's put it that way.
It is it's the fine margins in football, and especially in the Championship. Like we said, if Matteo Joseph was putting that away, we're through. I think Nanto missed one as well. Did Aronson playing Nanto in as well? Nanto played one straight at James Trafford, who was really, really good on the day as well. I think he actually got man of the match, didn't he, James Trafford, that day? And that kind of tells you all you need to know about it. Like what you said, typical Scott Parker performance. Remember saying to Dylan at the time, I was like, they're just going to come here and sit back. Wasn't really expecting them to be ultra defensive or defensive as what they were, but kind of was expecting them to kind of be hard to break down. What I kind of remember most from the Burnley game is just Hannibal and Brownhill in the middle of the park. They were just there to shithouse our midfield, and they done it so well. Hannibal even got on the crowds there, and it was just all applied to kind of wind up the players, wind up Ellen Road, and look at it worked. And yeah, I wasn't kind of too downbeat after it. Again, it was just like these fine margins and these moments was just not going for us. The Solomon slip was just like, it was so unlucky, but then you're looking back and you're like, how is he allowed run the length of the pitch with no one coming across, no one putting the press? He's probably the easiest goal he'll ever score, no one anywhere near him. But there was still time for us to kind of get back into the game, and I think that was probably the disappointing thing, is that I didn't really feel like after we conceded against Burnley that we were banging the door down. We had a lot of possession of the ball, but without really kind of creating anything, and I think that's where Farke then start getting his heat, is because we had all this possession and we just weren't doing anything with it. We weren't even creating. It's a different story. The likes of Joseph, he was kind of getting chances and missing. We weren't really getting chances. It was really, really kind of poor in front of goal. And yeah, but I wasn't kind of too downbeat. As like you said, look, you're going to lose games in the Championship. Leicester did last year as well. I think they lost 6 or 7. It's the nature of this league. It's a tough league. And again, like, it was chalk and cheese compared to Middlesbrough game. The Middlesbrough game, you're really, really kind of down about it after getting a thumping. The Burnley was different. I thought we were the better team on the day. I do think we had them. I don't think they were really any kind of great shape at the time. I was kind of thinking, geez, this could be the biggest game of the season. It was going to be us and Burnley there. Kind of looking back after the Burnley game, the way they kind of played, the respect that they showed us, but kind of sitting back, they didn't come out and like try and be expansive and kind of match us like the way Norwich and Sunderland have. So yeah, to me, it was as much as we lost the game, we didn't like losing the game. It was still a little bit of positives there, because it was like, I thought we were better than Burnley on the day, so there was a little positive to take it from me.
I have to agree with you there, to be honest with you. It was, I think it was a frustrating game. That's the way to sum it up, if I'm being completely honest with you. It was just completely frustrating. It was just any time Leeds got the ball, whether it was at the back or the wings, they had to go back and recycle it, because Burnley were just, look, they came to do a job and they done it, and then waiting for the counter attack, Solomon slips to go up 1-0. But like I seen on X that like Bogle was getting a lot of stick for coming across. Now, if you watch that back, like there's no one getting near him. He's gone, and Bogle is the last line of defence, and he has to come across.
Giving him stick.
Yeah,
I know you are. But like at the end of the day, like,
that was a dig at me, mate, because I put up a tweet on X about Bogle. That was definitely a dig at me.
I actually forgot about that, to be honest. But no, look, I that's just what I think. I think he done the right thing. He didn't. Darren actually said it to me. It's like he didn't. It was a half-arsed kind of tackle. It was a split second to kind of get the press. When he came out, he had to try and stand him up to cover. I think it was Jaden Anthony that was over the far left. If he came out and pressed too early, it was just an easy ball, and Jaden Anthony's one-on-one with Melier. So in regards to kind of staying where he was in position in the middle of the park, we've seen Van Dijk do it a lot. If you see, that's the way Van Dijk played on the clock when they used to get caught. You'd always see Van Dijk would never kind of be trigger happy and run out and press the ball. He'd always kind of just hold his position, and he's very good at doing that. I think Bogle tried to do the same thing, but I watched the back 4 or 5 times, and there was a split second where he kind of took a touch away from him, and that's when Bogle should have been in. You could see he kind of hesitated. You should have let him out that touch.
And then that thing, opening your legs, turning your body, it's a model to go through your legs. Don't really blame Melier on that one, because once a ball goes through, I think we've all kind of played football, once a ball goes through a player's leg, it's very, very hard to read where it's going to go. You're unsighted for that second. So I couldn't really blame Melier on that one. But yeah, look, it's just fine margins in football, and yeah, Dylan kind of hit the nail on the head. It was a frustrating game, and even though you don't like to see Leeds lose, there was positives to take from me, because everyone was kind of tipping Burnley to be up there and be one of the best sides, and I felt like we were the better side in the day. We were just extremely unlucky not to get the win. Never, even if we had got a draw, it wouldn't be too bad. But I thought we were unlucky not even to pick up all three with the way that we played.
But I wasn't like completely upset either with the way Leeds played. Like Leeds played very well. Just as I said, it was just our finishing. Yeah, Burnley came to do a job and they done
it.
And
that's probably thinking back to that Burnley one after that game. I went on a walk with the dog, and that was probably the first time since Georgie left that I turned around and go, oh my God, we really missed Georgie today, because it was just no kind of creativity, that link between the middle of the park and the forward line. That was kind of the first game that I really, really felt like we needed a Georgie in there just to kind of give that little spark, that little creativity. That's what I kind of felt we're missing. And it was then I was like, we really need to get a number 10 in. Obviously, we didn't, and we haven't yet. But Aronson's doing a good job in there. He's definitely after kind of filling that role. Georgie, look at, you're not really going to completely fill the boots of Georgie. Already we've seen him there for Brighton against Spurs. Like, he's quality. You can see he is a class above. He is a Premier League player. It's okay to kind of say that now that the dust is kind of settled. But at the time, it obviously it stings when your favourite player leaves. Like.
Big time. I mean, yeah, there'll be games this season, where you miss that stardust. I think we've still got some really quality players, as we'd all agree, Ramazani and Nonto and stuff, but there'll be games where that, Aronson's doing a good job in 10, but there will be games where we definitely miss Giorgio, we definitely miss a natural Pablo or a Buendia sort of player, it's a championship, there's lots of tight games like that where, we spoke about it before, we don't seem to get that bounce up ball, we don't seem to get a corner that goes in, we don't seem to score those penalties, all these 1%ers we don't tend to get. So there will be tight games where, there'll be frustrating 1-0 losses, potentially frustrating 0-0s. But, I think as the season goes on, it's up to Farke now to iron these games out, and at Ellen Road especially, we need to be taking 3 points. And I don't envisage many teams coming to Ellen Road and getting anything, let alone a win. So fair play to Burnley, and I'm sure we'll do it on Turf Moor and get that one back. But yeah, moving on from there, really good performance that you obviously went to, Darren, out at Cardiff. I think they got a red card in that, did they? Was that?
They got a red card early on. That was the one with Nonto. It was a very strange because it was down the opposite end from the away fans where we are. But the angle that it was at, it looked like there was a covering player out on the far left. Hadn't watched it back then from a better angle than after the game. Yeah, it was a soft kind of red card for me. Look, he was kind of the last man. He did want to take Nonto down. The malice was kind of there to take him down. But it did kind of seem like a soft red card at the time. And Cardiff was class. Like it was my first away day again. You're buzzing going there. I've never been to an away game, and it was kind of once in a lifetime. Came last minute. I think two days before the game I was on here. I had a ticket. It was booking flights, and it was all kind of fairly rushed. But Cardiff was the weirdest game. We walked out of that ground, and there was people giving out and calling for Daniel Farke's head after a 2-0 win, which I couldn't understand. I couldn't, and I know. No. The kind of the barometer is the Leeds away fans. They travel all over the country to follow the team, and that's kind of when they kind of have issues with something. That's when like things are bad. But I got talking to the guy coming out of the stadium, and he was just completely anti Farke, and he was just turning around and he's like, I'm thinking about just not coming to away games. He said, I just can't watch it anymore. There was times, don't get me wrong, a lot of shouting kind of coming from the away end about like move it quicker, and I did have to agree. There was a lot of times I thought Fairbairn in that game. You kind of see a lot more in stadium, like what you would say, Matt. You go to the home games, you see a lot more. And what I seen from Fairbairn, Ramazani, that was obviously his debut, lovely goal. Like he's kind of on the score sheet, and I'm kind of saying, look, I want to see more of him. The runs that he was making in behind, he was constantly moving, constantly finding space, and Fairbairn just wasn't giving it to him. And I don't feel it was Fairbairn. Poor, but he's not doing it. Had to be in some sort of tactic or ploy because Fairbairn just kept putting his foot on the ball and coming back inside when the obvious was the ball around the corner or an overlapping run, and he didn't do it. So I think kind of where Cardiff was, obviously they sacked the manager, but at the time they were kind of saying like if Leeds beat them today, he's definitely going to go. They went down to 10 men, and then you're saying Leeds should have really went out and kind of put them to the sword and put 4 or 5 past them. We very easily could have. Obviously Strike missed a penalty. Aronson missed one at the front post as well. It kind of came off a shin when he was under a bit of pressure. Pirlo's finish was unbelievable. That was probably kind of the main moment of the day when he came on. His finish was unbelievable. Kind of seeing it in real time. the tight angle he was at, just an unbelievable finish into the back of the net. The noise when it rattled the back of the net was kind of like, right, look, we had the 3 points. But again, yeah, kind of going back to the fans, it was mental. It felt like leaving that stadium that we lost. I was absolutely buzzing, like that first away game. I was after spending all this money going over here, after seeing Leeds win. I'm absolutely buzzing. And then you're going on the ground, you're hearing the conversation, and you're obviously, you're bumping off the guys. What do you think of that? And they're all kind of saying, oh, look, I think it's time for Farke to go. And I'm just scratching my head going, like, what do we expect to do? Like, we're after getting the 3 points. So I understood from a certain point about the football, but to be saying that you wanted them out after winning a game was just, I think that could only be Leeds.
I sort of feel like in that game, in that game, we were comfortable and there were no need. Yeah, you'd win 5-6, 7-0 if you could, you know what I mean, every week. But it's not Farke's way. We were 2 up, and that's what everyone's wanting. They spent the money, they're there, they want to be entertained, because obviously football, it's an entertainment game, and you know what I mean, you go to be entertained. Yeah. But there is some weeks and some games where just getting the 3 points is all that matters. And for me, if you can get 3 points, come out without any injuries, and you've only been in second gear, and you're saving, you're reserving energy for the long season ahead. So for me, I don't read too much into it. For me, that game, anyone saying Farke out it baffles me. But everyone's entitled to their opinion. That's fair enough. It's football. It's subjective. If we all thought the same, it'd be rubbish, wouldn't it? But for me, you come out of that, it gets a bit of stick, and then we have Coventry at home, and that sort of gets everyone. That plays out how everyone wanted Cardiff to play out for me. The Coventry game was everything stuck. We got the goal, and we looked threatening every time we got the ball. And 3-0 against Coventry aside, we didn't win last season. Didn't beat last season. Last time we played, and they did us really well at their place. And I think that for me, that was the first time it sort of clicked, and you've gone from a really hard fought, scrappy 2-0 win away at Cardiff, which any other season you're happy with. Just winning at Cardiff, 1-0 doesn't matter.
Cardiff away is tough.
And then that Coventry game, it gave everybody it let everybody see what they'd all been wanting at every point this season, because you can see the potential, you can see when it clicks how good it'll be. And that was probably first game I sort of felt like they'd been let off a leash a little bit, and they really went for that. And it could have been 5 or 6, but I thought that was a fantastic game. Obviously, we lost Ampadu in that game, which was a sickener, because I thought he would have his best half. He would have his best stint of football so far this season in that game. So, there's been a lot of points this season where things are going bad and it gets worse, or as things start getting better, we get another like kicking nuts sort of thing. And it's mentally to overcome so much within 9 games. I feel like it's been, a Hollywood movie for all these points that have sort of happened. You make a good Netflix documentary already. It's only been 9 games. And it's so much, whether it's, Farke being under pressure, whether it's all these injuries, there's just, these big high profile misses, on the field. I think to come through 3-0 and tie that game up when your captain goes off, pretty much halfway through the game, I thought we handled that second half really well. And a bit like the Cardiff game, we eased off in second half. We let Coventry have the ball, knowing we were comfortable in game. And, I definitely feel like that's a ploy that Farke adopts really well. Let them have the ball, drop it into a bit of a mid-block. When you're up 2 goals, you can do, and we're always a threat on that counter. So I was really happy with the Coventry game. But like I say, we get given in one hand and we get took away with another, don't we, with the Ampadu. So that was a bit of a massive high to a massive low, seeing that, and obviously the repercussions, which we'll touch on afterwards. It sort of snowballs with Leeds, doesn't it? But on the performance, really happy, which I'm sure you guys were. But the Ampadu really overshadowed that win.
Yeah, definitely.
That kind of summarise it. It's exactly what I would have said. At the time, I was turning around saying that was the best performance of the season. Coventry, I just don't think they've got going. Yeah, Mark Robbins' side that are really, really good. We've seen how well they done last year. Lucky not to get to an FA Cup final. And I do expect towards the end of the season that they will be there or thereabouts. So I thought, 3-0 away on home to Coventry's not bad at all. And like what you said, we only picked up 1 point off them last season, and I was kind of fearful. Leeds kind of always have them bogey teams, and I kind of felt like Coventry kind of wires, and that was going to be like a potential banana scheme for us. And I was just praying, I was like, we just need to get 3 points today, just again to settle everything down, especially after kind of the reaction and the knee jerk after Cardiff as well. And it was kind of like all the Farke outs that you were seeing then in X then just completely went away. Then they weren't there, and they kind of haven't been since then. So for me, probably up there with the best performance of the season so far. Everything was just flowy. We moved the ball quick. some nice goals in the game. Nice to see Bogle getting a score sheet. Dillo's boy as well got on the score sheet as well, coming off the bench as well, and was kind of making himself kind of known as a bit of a super sub. So yeah, for me, again, it was positives again after Coventry. Your tails are up again, and the positivity is kind of back again. So yeah, what did you think, Dillo?
I think Coventry, exactly what you said there. That was definitely the best performance of the season. You know, they were very good last season, and Darren said, look, there's more to come with them. They're definitely going to be fighting, definitely in the top 6. If I'm being really honest with you,
I think they'll be thereabouts too.
But
they're in a false position.
It was a great game to watch. Leeds really showed what they were made of on that day. Then going back to what Darren said about people saying about Farke out and etc. Like, people need to relax here for a minute. I have to be honest, and I know people are entitled to their opinions, but they need to kind of go back in time and think where we used to be. Yeah. You know, I
think it's a lot to do with just Bielsa spoiled us. Like he really did, and me and Matty, obviously, we kind of talked about it today. Matty, we touched on it and sent you the voice note going, what would you do to kind of get the Bielsa days back? Like, you just love it, like to go back to that Stoke game.
Sell the gaff.
You'd love it. But like, and Matty kind of said, like we're all kind of like we're all widows. The wife and the kids, sell them all. I mean, it was like what Matty said, like we're all kind of widows of Bielsa, and I still think the hangover is here from Bielsa. We just want to see that kind of scintillating, attacking football. You know, the shackles are off, and it's just it was once in a lifetime getting Bielsa here. We've been so lucky to have him, and like that, the memories, we kind of have to kind of start moving on from that. You look at Daniel Farke, he's won this division twice, 90 points with us. To me, there's no better man for the job out there to get us out of this division than Daniel Farke. The start of last season really kind of done us in, and I'm going kind of a little bit off topic here, Matty, but the start of last season, with everything that was going on coming down from the Premier League, the clauses and contracts really, really hampered us last season. I think the start of last season is eventually kind of what done us. I know towards the end of the season we weren't in kind of any great shape, but even Leicester kind of went through it. They took off like a bat out of hell towards the end of it, then it kind of became very tight to them, and they kind of got a bit shaky legs, especially when we bet them at our place. I just don't think there's any better man for the job than Daniel Farke. 100% back him. Yeah, at times is his football slow? Is it a little bit boring to watch? Yeah, 100%. But is it effective? Yeah, 100%. And obviously, I always kind of watch yourself and Joe always kind of hits the nail on the head. It's risk averse with him, and that's what you want. You don't want to be giving up any chance. And it's like we've kind of gone polar opposites. There was times under Bielsa where we're calling for us to be like a little bit more defensive, and kind of that plan B where we'd like to just shut up shop, and Daniel Farke does that. And now that he is doing it, we're turning around and going, no, we don't want that. We want to go for more. So it just kind of seems like with Leeds fans, like, look, that's what football's all about. It's opinions, but to me, there's no better man for the job than Daniel Farke, and I genuinely do think we're going up this year and champions. We're going up as champions.
I agree with you there. Completely agree.
I second. You got to think, before we had Bielsa, we had Steve Evans and Hockaday, and we had some shockers, and just a win, don't matter how we got it, would have been enough there. Whereas now, since pre-Bielsa, it's you need the 3 points, but you need a performance too, and you know that's what he's fighting against. 3 points isn't enough anymore, which is crazy. But 90-point season, 2 promotions prior. I think over 85 points this season. I think you're probably getting top 2, and he's got 90 points in every season he's ever been in this league. So trust the process, and for me, he'll get up. It's crazy talk to ever even doubt him. To be fair, if he don't get us up this year, it's a fail, and I'm sure he'll get his marching orders. But if he gets over 85 points this year, we're going to be in top 2, and we'll be there, and then we'll judge him on whether he can adapt to that level, which we'll see. So, but obviously, it was vital he got that win against Coventry in a really good performance, because we were going into his hardest week of the season with Norwich away and Sunderland away. We've obviously losing as captain as well. It was, it's an hard one when you lose a player. Ampadu was a top player as captain, but I was still confident having Tanaka in there. That going into that Norwich game, and I think everybody were devastated, but everyone also wanted to see Tanaka play. So it's sort of I didn't feel any weaker, maybe mentality wise, maybe that lacking that leader and losing your captain. You don't know what gets said in dressing room. I'm sure they all respect Ampadu and his a massive miss, but ball playing wise, ability wise, Tanaka didn't feel like a massive drop off, and I was excited to watch him.
Step down.
What we can't legislate for, which you've touched on in the past, we're losing Gruev, 18 minutes or whatever it was into Norwich game, and that floored us, you know, maybe not as much as Ampadu won man for man, but because they're both out, it absolutely floored us. And
Head and hands, yeah.
The mental resolve they've shown that week, you know, last week for me, it's massive. Like I told you guys, I'm massive on mentality. You know what I mean? If you're struggling, I want to put my arm around you. You know what I mean? It's one of them, and I think there's a lot of players who's had some tough moments this season, and to lose, you know, both of your players from centre at Park, it's massive in any team. You know, you take any two, you're starting DMs out of any side in the world, and they're struggling. And like we've touched on before, we're very lucky we've got the third and fourth choice who we've got, and to come out of Norwich with, you know, a 1-1 draw, another error in terms of giving penalty away, I don't think you can ask for much more. You know, yeah, you want 3 points, as we always say. You know, we should be winning every game, man for man, but it just doesn't work like that. So I was buzzing with that Norwich game, to be fair. You know, I think there were a lot of stuff we could work on.
It was a decent point, wasn't it?
It's just that resolve, you know. Yeah, big time, mate. You know, yeah, I want to see us slap teams up 6-0, I do, but I also like it when you look at them and you can see in their eyes that they're all for each other. You know, they're digging in, and they did that dirty side of the game really well. And it was a feisty game. You know, Norwich was sticking it on us early on, and you know, I just loved how they come through it and the battle for a well-earned point there, which again I reckon will be another vital point.
It's what we kind of said, Matty, and we've touched on it a bit. Sorry, when like we've obviously said that we kind of just want to win pretty all the time, and like that after Norwich, it really felt like they dug deep in that game.
Yeah,
Aronson as well was like kind of very good, and that was the typical kind of game. They were the games that I was looking for where Aronson was kind of going to get a little bit bullied. You know, you're away from home Friday night, them Norwich, you know, your Stokes, like your Sunderlands, you're going to get bullied. I thought every one of them stood up, and that's sometimes they're kind of the better ones. I know it was only a point, but you're kind of coming out of that game and going, the boys really dug deep with everything that's kind of being thrown at them. Kind of in adversity, it was a really good point on the road at Norwich. And then you're kind of saying, look, the Sunderland game is coming. Again, we kind of said we would have taken a point there. I'm sure we're going to get on to Sunderland. But yeah, Norwich at Carrow Road, it's a tough place to go. And like you say, if you're winning your home games and you're going to a place like that again, I do think Norwich is going to be up there. They've got some right players. You still have the boy Sargent there as well, who's really good at this level. Signs as well, really top players. So they're not a bad side, and that wasn't a bad point away from them. That didn't really feel like a West Brom one where, you know, we were sitting back in and we didn't really want to play. We went to win that game. We were just so unlucky. Nanto's one off the post as well. If that goes in again, it's a different game. It's just, it's very fine margins that it seems like at the minute for Leeds that just aren't going for us. But again, going back to Bielsa, the God, it always levels itself out in the end. And I do think we're kind of due a little bit of luck now over the next couple of weeks. So let's hope it comes soon enough and we can get all the bad luck, get the bad luck out of the way now.
It seems to kind of go like that, doesn't it? To be honest, like after international breaks and etc. You know, and look, we won't speak about it next Friday as of yet. But going back to that Norwich game, it was very, it was a dirty game, lads. It was very dirty. You know, like there was tackles going in.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was tasty, man. I love games like that.
Oh no, I'm not. But I'm just saying, like, you know, under the circumstances, like you see an Irish player diving in against, you know, Farke or something. You say to yourself, yeah. Go easy, really. Like,
Just don't enter anymore, please.
Please take it easy, like, you know. But no, it was as Darren said there, the likes of Sargent, like they've had decent side, very decent. And yet again, I wouldn't be surprised if they'd be fighting for a top 6 as well. You know, it was kind of a 50-50 game, if I'm being honest with you. I thought Leeds would have scraped the win. Just a bit unlucky. Same thing, finishing. Didn't get us over the line as such, but you know, I think you know, I have to say this, but don't start jumping in with throat, lads. Joseph got a little bit bullied in that game between Shane Duffy and
here we go. Sob story alert.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the games where I don't criticise Farke much for much this season, but that was a game where Farke come into a little bit of criticism for me. Like I say, I was happy with point. I thought, you know, we really dug in. Mentality were there. It was a brilliant game, but I felt like his subs were a bit bad there. You know, he brought off Nonto and Ramazani with maybe 15, 20 left. And I think we touched on it before. We all sort of felt the goal was going to come. And I didn't really understand. I think it was Pirro and Bamford and Geldart all ended up in his front three.
Yeah, I forgot who it was.
No pace in the front line. And that them subs killed us. We had complete control of the game until he made them subs. And I said it to Dylan, I text him straight away. I said, these subs are going to kill us because we know Bamford, look, he's come back in. He wasn't match fit. It was always kind of just get minutes in the legs, but you're bringing Pirro on with him. again, not a quick player. So we'd nothing kind of up front, no kind of out ball. Like they didn't do anything whatsoever. And after he made them subs, it looked like Norwich were the only team going to win it. We just didn't create anything after that. We didn't look threatening. We completely lost away. We were losing possession and everything. So yeah, I agree with you there, Matt. Yeah, we were hanging on. We're very lucky. Sainz had one right at the death. If you remember, a flash past the post. He just didn't get the whip on it. But yeah, right what you're saying. That was probably the one time then I kind of questioned Farke a little bit. His subs at times can be poor. Yeah. But I'm kind of thinking back to Norwich last season when we were 2-0 down and he just threw everyone on. All the attackers that we had on the bench, it was just get on there and win us the game, and we did. And I think that might have been his thinking behind it. Looking back now, he was probably thinking, look, take Ramazani, take Nonto off, get Pirro on, Bamford on, throw me Gelhardt as well. Kind of same sort of thing. Obviously, nowhere near the quality that we put on the pitch that day to win that game. And you don't have the individual quality of Somerville on the pitch there. But I think his thinking behind it was, let's try and do the same as last season. Let me throw all my attackers on. And let's see if we can make this. Would have been a good win. But obviously just, it didn't work for us this time.
Is subs getting a bit crazy?
In an ideal world, he'd have had James and Solomon on there, wouldn't he? You know, all he's done there is, like you say, he's shown he's trying to win the game. You know, positive subs in terms of bringing attackers on, it always is. You know, he showed he was going to win the game, but due to injuries, you know, the only attacking players he had no pace. So for me, you know, you'll never know if we'd have won with Ramazani not on one pitch, but as a fan,
you're bringing James on the game like that.
His pace, you are. Right, it's just how it's happened for us this season. You know, we haven't got that bit of luck at minutes, so they're out. But you can see what we're trying to do. The only attackers on the bench he brought on, but like you say, that's the only time really I think you can dig Farke out. Not to a point where he should be getting sacked because it's still a point at Norwich, but I sort of understood the criticism there. Obviously, I can't justify the criticism winning 2-0 at Cardiff, but I can definitely understand the criticism at the end of that game. But on the other hand, he didn't really have a choice. He had to make subs. If you wouldn't have made any subs, they'd have all said, why didn't you bring Bamford, Pirro and Gelhardt?
Yeah, wouldn't you make any subs?
So he had to try, but of course, but it just didn't work out. But I was happy with that point. And then obviously you go to Sunderland, which is, you know, the most recent game and biggest talking point of the season, I suppose. But, how did you feel before we went to Sunderland? Did you feel confident we'd get the win? Did you feel with the injury it was going to be a tough one beforehand? How did you feel?
Yeah, I think we obviously did our little video on our channel, the match build up for the Sunderland game, and I said at the time was as much as I kind of wanted Leeds to go there with them being top of the league and lay down a marker, it would have been so good for Leeds to go there. And look, we very, very nearly did it. I said at the time 2-2. I had a feeling they'd get an early one, they'd come out swinging. They did. But I did think that our quality would get us back into the game again. It did. Like the goals that we scored, and especially Firpo's goal for me was absolutely class to put us 2-1 up. The run, the pass back in from Nonto, and it was a great finish from Firpo into the bottom corner. And yeah, we all know what happened after that. We were literally 6 seconds away from taking a brilliant 3 points. And then you're looking at, again, the season as a whole as completely different. Do you know what I mean? It was definitely, if you had said before that Norwich game, 4 points from the next two, you would have snapped your hands off. Look, it was 1 point from 2 points from 6 in the end. So for me, again, though, they're really, really good side. And we touched on some of the players they have, like say Joe Bellingham, Chris Rigg, was the boy out on the left again, Mundell as well, really, really good player as well. He's really taken off from Jack Clark, Patrick Roberts, some really, really good players there at Sunderland. And I do kind of, what we've kind of said as well, I'm getting Ipswich vibes from them. I really, really do think they're a good side. I think they're going to be up there with us all the way. And kind of in hindsight, if you're going there, you're kind of your rivals around you, picking up a point and beating the back at our place, you know, that's kind of what sees you get promoted. So hopefully we kind of look back at it now. If we can beat Sheffield United next Friday, we'll look back at them too and say, look, they're 2 decent points away from home again, but we should have won it. Only for a Melier mistake, unfortunately.
I was convinced we were going to win that game. And being honest, I genuinely thought that this was the turn. You know, Leeds were really going to come out and show Sunderland and the whole league what we were made of. Obviously, to go top as well, you know. It's a very emotional one to talk about, lads, to be honest with you. But like it's, you know, Bellingham hadn't got his shooting boots on that night, so that's a bit of positivity on that. Firpo again, I thought he played brilliant. Nanto was unbelievable again. You know, the defence held well. Then look, you know, Pero had to just, you know, do what he does. You know, but
There we go.
but yeah, look, as I said, from a point I'm gonna keep saying it, and I'm not giving them stick. People make mistakes in their job, but that's a huge mistake from a professional goalkeeper. That shouldn't have happened. I back him. I still think he's a great goalkeeper. But look, he's a lot of proven to the fans to do. If I'm being completely honest with you, and the next few games ain't gonna decide that. It's gonna be over the course of the season.
Yeah, he owes us. Yeah, he owes us.
Do you think, Dill, he's got the mental resolve to get over this with it being such a huge error? And we know I think we've got quite a lot of players, or we have over the last few seasons who are, you know, confidence players. And for me, Melier, it's such a big one, and having that international break, I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse. For me, it's probably worse. I think he'd rather been playing on Tuesday night and just try and get over it. But that massive game looming now for a fortnight, has he got the mental steel? He's called the Iceman, and me and Darren have touched on it before. He's anything but cool in my eyes. You know what I mean? And I don't want to slate him, and I want to get behind him. I'll always love anyone who plays for Leeds United. But has he got the balls to come through this?
Going back to what you always say, Matty, about, like, you know, people's mental health in general. I know, like, I love talking about that sort of stuff. Like, we've all had our struggles. So, like, what you've said there is immediately I want to turn around and say, yeah, this is a man that's gonna turn everything around here for the club of Leeds and the games. But it's I always say it to everyone, and it's a constant thing with the error that he's made now. Whether he's gonna, you know, look at social media and death threats, if that's been given out, like, that's all wrong. You know, like, that shouldn't be out there, and I need to put that clear. But I think of mental health, and I use this analogy, and I've said this to Darren as well before, like, with my own struggles. I think of mental health as like a boxing match. You're in the ring and you're in the corner and you're getting the head thumped off you. You're the only person to get yourself out of that corner. So with him, you know, I'm not being smart. He needs to put the big boy pants on here now, and he can't be, you know, looking for someone to put his arm around him and Farke to kind of, you know, everything's going to be all right. He needs to show his professionalism and prove it to the fans and to himself. And, you know, if he wants to move on to another higher club, because he, you know, the Iceman scenario, if that's everyone wants to call him, that's fair enough. But he needs to, you know, let it fest. Don't let it fester. Sorry, he's made the error. It's done with now. Now is the mentality to go out, try harder, work even twice as hard, interact with the fans more to give us that bit of life. And, you know, he wants to be here and prove us all wrong, because there's nothing better when you prove fans wrong, if I'm being completely honest. You know, so look, that's where I am with that, and I could sit here and say that he's going to turn it around. Only time will tell, and he's the only man that can do it.
No, I think with Melier. Sorry,
my pal Jay with a comment there. As a goalkeeper myself, I'm backing Melier, and you're a good goalkeeper too, Malice. My good friend Jay there. But yeah,
is he available next?
Say we all need to back him now. If he is, we should have him, mate. He's a top goalkeeper. But yeah, like I say, we all need to get behind him. I mean, we'll have all read this week, won't we, about Bamford on that podcast he's done this week, talking about the death threats and how he felt for his family. And Melier's got just had a kid as well recently, and you know, it's football at the end of the day. You know, we speak a lot on, you know, it's our lives outside his family. It's his biggest thing, but you know, it's one of them where you can't be giving people death threats. No one will be feeling worse than Melier, and I can just imagine how he's going to feel, even training, warming up on that pitch. All eyes are going to be on him. He's going to be main focus of a lot of people, especially at Sheffield United. Like, you know, every time he goes to catch a ball or punch a ball, it's going to feel that way on his shoulders. But like you said, big time. But like you said, he pulls his big boy pants up. He's all the one that can get himself through that. He makes a big save. You know, he gets us going. His distribution's better. We get a win, and he's had an half decent game, and all of a sudden he's turned it around. I mean, look at Aronson, look at Nanto. You know, we are accepting as long as you show willing. You know what I mean? I understand the negativity. course it does, mate. Of course it does. It can quite easily, after a fortnight of hell, which I'm sure he's feeling, after one more 90-minute performance, if he has a good game, it can just turn around, can't it? And that, you're only as good as your last result. We beat Sheffield United, and that Sunderland game's gone for now. It'll always be a gaff. It'll always be something people will laugh and joke about. But he has the ability to turn it around. He does have the ability. I'm really hoping it proves people wrong, because for me, I'm not a massive Melier lover. I'm not, but I do think he's definitely talented. He's really good. He's really good one-on-one. I think his shot stopping can be a little bit.
Yeah, shot stopping one-on-one. Yeah.
For me, I'm going to back him in. I'm going to say he's going to have a flyer on Friday, and I'm super positive, guys. So I've got to back him, and there'll be no stick coming from my way anyway.
Yeah, we have to back him 100%. Like that, everybody makes mistakes. So we said it was just after it, like kind of the laughing and joking on the pitch. He definitely could have handled that a little bit better. So as you said, Matty, it's just typical. It happened right the last game before the international break, and it was 2 weeks to kind of sit on it. And we all kind of probably know from playing football, you'll always kind of remember like on a Sunday, like a miss that you on a Sunday, and it's kind of with the whole week, and you're just dying to get to the next game so you can just go back out and right them wrongs. And like what you said, if it kind of happened in the Norwich game and it was the quick turnaround to the Sunderland game, I think that probably would have been better for him, because it kind of buries it then, and he's kind of moving on. And like what you said, a massive game against Sheffield United. He really, really has to pull up his socks against that one. And I'm hoping to God that there is an opportunity. I hope we obviously win it, but if it's like 1-0 the last minute there through and he makes a great save, it'd be nothing better. And like that, for all, it's kind of back him and kind of just forget about it and move on. Like we have to back him. He is the best goalkeeper in the club. We've obviously seen Peter Darlow. We obviously haven't seen Kieran since he came back, but he's obviously was playing at a lower level last season. So we just have to back him 100%. I do think with him being kind of so young, I do think he kind of has got the mental capacity to kind of come through. I do think Farke will be one of them to kind of put his hand around him and kind of say, we've seen him back him last season publicly, turn around saying that he was the best goalkeeper in the division. He definitely has Daniel Farke's backing, so we obviously have to give our backing as well. I think Daniel Farke will kind of have a hand around him and kind of say, look, keepers make mistakes, and that's things like that happen. Like strikers can make mistakes and midfielders can make mistakes, and it's not as costly when a keeper makes a mistake 9 times out of 10. That's what's going to happen to you.
No, it is, mate. I agree. I hope Callum, mate, will be all right. He said, need to get back to winning ways. Melier has no competition. He is on easy street, which, I agree. He has been for a while. We've had a few positions like that over years. Bamford as well at centre forward, where they haven't really. It comes down to a recruitment issue, which in key areas we haven't always got right. I think they got the recruitment right this season, but the 10 and the goalkeeper, you could argue, they maybe missed out on there. But with Melier, it's one of them where. What do you do if you have a really good goalkeeper, wants minutes? It's not a position you can really rotate. It's not like you've got a centre mid or another striking. You can, a bit like Pido and Joseph, you can rotate and you can fight for that shirt. I mean, we saw under Allardyce when they dropped Melier, that must have been a massive confidence drop for him. And I think they've always got in mind of Leeds with Melier the value of him. I don't think he's ever going to get up to the heights of maybe 3 years ago when he might have been a 25-30 million pound prospect, but I do think you put him on bench, it comes to end of the season, you're not getting no money for him. So I feel like he'll have to play himself through this adversity. And I think whether we stay in this division, whether we go up, I think he will move on at the end of the season. But he'll go with my blessing, and he'll join a team with a wealth of experience, and they'll be getting one hell of a talent at 25-year-old with 200 games under his belt, because that's just unheard of in modern football.
No age for a goalkeeper at all.
It's nuts. It's mad to think how many career games he could play. If he's a number one for the next 10 years, it's crazy how many games he could play. But I don't think he's the best in the league. I have to disagree with Farke there, but there's no wrong way. We're coming out with stuff like that, and backing him. You've got to back your players, and I understand it, but I don't think it's going to be detrimental to us going up. I think he's good enough to play in a side that goes up without doubt. So hopefully come Friday we'll see him back to something like so. That's the end of the games we've touched on. I just want to see your thoughts on the next 6 games before the next international break. So we've got Sheffield United at home, Watford at home, Bristol City away, Plymouth at home, Millwall away, QPR at home. For me, after the Sheffield United game, which I firmly believe we'll win, it's not a bad run. I feel like we've had a couple of tricky games near the bottom, which some very Leedsy thing to do is drop points against bottom sides, and we've had some really tough games up at top of the table. I feel like now we're going to be playing a host of those mid-range teams who I expect this is where Leeds should start to go on a bit of a run, maybe similar to what we did turn of year last year. So just touching on them, do you think we'll get maximum points, close to maximum points? What are you expecting with the adversity of the injuries we've got with Melier going through this at the minute? Do you think there's enough there to, after this break, come back and smash it and get almost maximum points?
You want to go ahead there?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's probably a little bit mad saying this, and look, the two of you kind of know from my Norwich predictions and Sunderland predictions, I very much kind of go with my head, and I don't really kind of let my heart rule my head, especially when it comes down to kind of predicting football, because I think if you always go with your heart, you're always going to say Leeds 3-4-0 win. Yeah. But genuinely, and you're probably going to be, like, your jaw's probably going to drop on a turnaround says, but I genuinely see us putting Sheffield United to the sword on Friday night. I'm thinking like 2 or 3. I really, really am. I don't know why it's there, but my head is just saying, I don't know what it is, mate. And I'm trying to, like, I might just, like, being a little bit mad here kind of thinking about this, but I don't know. I just have a feeling we're due. Yeah, I just have a feeling it's coming. I really, really do. And I think, like what I've said, the bad kind of little look that we've been getting over these first 9 games, it kind of seems like everything's been kind of being against us. And I just think there's going to be a turn of the tide somewhere along the line, and we are due to kind of slap someone. And no better way to kind of slap them. They haven't lost the game. The whole thing that's kind of going on with Chris Wilder and that as well. I don't know. There's this feeling in me. I think it's going to be 2 or 3. I think it's going to be a good performance. And then the next 5 after that, they're all winnable games, aren't they? It's like what you said. That's a run that you kind of look at and you kind of say, we probably should be getting 6 from 6. And I know that's kind of mental saying that, but when you actually look at the teams that we're coming up against, like Bristol City away, like you want to be beating them. I think we'll definitely do Watford. Yeah, look, I'm thinking 6 from 6. Like we should be down and like that. I'm positive. I'm not kind of stupidly positive, but I just think genuine on paper. Obviously, we'll have a look back after the 6 games and kind of see if it was kind of way off or if it was kind of fairly on the money. But I do think it starts next week with Sheffield United. Really do have a feeling we're going to slap them up, and then after that, I think the next 5 then are all winnable games. We probably will kind of sneak, like, scrape through 1-0 wins here or there. But again, in between, I do think there will be a couple of good performances through there. So yeah, the next 6, I'm thinking 6 wins, to be honest.
I think, like, with the way injuries are at the minute, I'm just trying to be positive, but it's just the way injuries are at the minute. And the lineup itself, there's no one to kind of replace such and such. I do think we will win against Sheffield United. Darren's saying 3-4-0 or whatever you were saying, a few goals in it anyway. I actually have to agree with that. I have to agree with that. I think it's going to be a 3-2 to Leeds.
My heart can't handle that, Dylan.
Yeah,
I can't handle that.
I just think it's going to be an end game of football. People have had their rest, and Friday night under the lights at Ellen Road. Look, lads, there's no better place to be, is there? Let's be honest, you know.
No.
So
I just think like everything around as well. Wilder there as well. I think Radaby a special guest I've seen there today at the club release. Radaby is going to be there as a special guest, and they'll obviously do a few bits for George Bullock as well. So I think it will be kind of good occasion, and hopefully we manage to kind of get the win and. I
can't see us getting maximum points out of 6, but I can definitely see most wins and probably a few draws. I can't see us losing anything, if I'm being honest.
No.
But that's where we're at. I can't see maximum points, if I'm being honest, lads. You know, the likes of Watford, or I think you touched on QPR there as well, was it? Leeds are always the type of club. Leeds are the type of club that the middle table clubs, you know, you expect them to beat, and then, you know, we end up losing or we get a draw, you know. But then when you put it up to the likes of Sunderland, we should have won. Now that fella's a Sunderland fan, but that's where Leeds kind of showed our real potential, where they kind of, I don't know, like take the foot off the gas a little bit when it's the middle class tables. So yeah, I'm gonna say 3-2 against Sheffield United. Bogle, Pirro, and Nanto to score on that one. And
we've already said I'm a bit nervous because if Bogle scores the winner, I've got to do next showing me underpants, which is gonna give me 0. I'll gladly do it as long as it's the winner. Bill, it's got to be the winner. So, it's got to be the winner, and it's got to score it in the 91st.
Right.
Minute.
If Bogle scores and Pirro scores, I'll do mine in the underpants as well. But I'll wear Pirro underpants.
Class, absolutely class. Just looking at them 6 games, when we say 3 points at home and a draw away, I think with 4 home games and 2 away games, I don't see at home why we can't get maximum points against Sheffield United, Watford, Plymouth, and QPR. So that'd be 12 points straight off at bat. And then if you pick up your 2 draws, that's 14. I don't think 14 would be a bad shout out of the 18. I think we don't need to be losing as if we get a draw in the middle of that. You can, like I said before, you can build momentum off a draw. So as long as the performance is there, I think there's no reason why we can't get 18. But I think if we get a couple of draws in those away games, but we pick up maximum at home, I think 14 points. I think with how the league sort of showing up now, that'd get us top of the league after the next 6 games. I firmly believe 14 out of next 18 will get us somewhere close to being top 2, definitely. So that's my thoughts on that, lads. Anyway,
you two are very negative, do you know that?
I haven't really got much else to touch on. I haven't really got much else to touch on. Has anybody else got all they want to say, really? I think we've sort of summarised it all pretty well up to
obviously,
now.
Little the Canate one, it kind of seems like it was a goer, and then it was kind of water kind of poured on it today as well. What are we thinking about getting Canate in? Are we kind of for it, against it? Do you think we should hold it?
I genuinely think it's just take what we're given, lads, I'm being honest.
Yeah,
I have to be honest, lads.
It's just because for me it's a no-brainer, just because he's able to cover them 2 positions, and that's why I think it's a no-brainer. Like either one of them, what Dylan was kind of saying, like our two defensive midfielders and our 2 centre halves. If we get an injury to one of them, you're talking about the boy and crew then trying to come in to kind of cover, and I just think it's very, very early in their development to be throwing them in the deep end. So I think it'd be a fruit sign, and it's a no-brainer to bring him in that he can cover both positions. Then, do you know what I mean? And we can kind of change it up, and not even for injuries. What I was saying to Dylan, just like that little bit of rotation, kind of like what he done with Joseph, just to pull them out of the firing line, and then you throw him in. If it is like a thing like say a Tanaka, to pull Tanaka out for the Plymouth game and let him go in that game, just to have that option there for a little bit of rotation that we haven't got at the minute. So I know he's 34, and people are kind of saying, look, he's 34, and is he going to do it? Look, it's the Championship. I think he's played something like, was it 200 or 300 games he's played in the Premier League? Wealth of experience, would be great in the dressing room as well. And I think that's one thing that's probably lacking in the Leeds squad at the minute is leadership, with the likes of Cooper gone. Obviously, we've lost Aylan the season before, Stuart Dallas. Like, that's a lot of experience to be pulled out of the squad and not really be replaced. So I think, for me, it's a no-brainer to kind of add to that experience, and like an older kind of head to kind of put his arm around the boys, exactly like the Melier situation, to kind of put his arm around them and say, look, forget about it, it's gone. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I hope we get it done big time.
I think the way we're playing as well, lads, we're Rothwell and Tanaka now. We're going to be a bit more up front foot. You're going to see, like we said about Joe Bellingham on edge of an area against Sunderland. You're going to find, Melier is going to get tested a bit more than he had done with Gruev and Ampadu. So for me, the way we'll set up will be a little bit more attacking. We're not going to be as defensive as we would be with original 11, but at least you've got the option if you bring in. You bring him in, you can take Rothwell off maybe on 70 minutes, and you can go back to playing with 2 6s, and he'll shore that defence up. You don't need to be playing 90 minutes week in, week out, but just that wealth of experience, and like you say, he can come on, he can then revert, because like when we get a couple of goals, we just like to revert and let them have the ball. He can slot straight in there, take Rothwell off, keep him fresh as well. And like too right. And the way he plays, he likes to do that. He likes to get in front and then shore things up. He ain't going to be bothered for going 2 or 3-0 up and giving Rothwell license to go get a goal. It's more likely going to be Rothwell, you've done your bit, come off, and then you put someone on with that experience. Too right. And like you say, he's dropping down to Championship, and he ain't going to be on massive wages. So for me, that's a no-brainer. I mean, if he doesn't come, I assume it's because they've seen something in they don't really like, because I've heard rumours that he's been there a few days now training and stuff. I don't know if that's true.
Days, it's saying, yeah.
So I think if he don't come, it must be something they've seen within him. I don't think it's going to be a fallout over money or whatever. It must be, people saying he's too old. He's maybe not up to it. Maybe that might be the case. That's the only way I see him not coming. But for me, it's got to be. Maybe they've took a look at him and thought he's not up to it, which is fair enough. I ain't gonna have a go if they don't sign him, because everything on paper says we should, but they're seeing stuff we're not seeing. But hopefully,
they're doing all the tests and
he's
all.
A good fit. Of course, mate. Of course, but yeah, like I say, outside that, I think we'll be fine. I think Farke's a good fit. I think we'll go up. I'm yet to see how they go as the season gets deeper and we come up with more adversity. You know what I mean? I want to see how we come through really tough moments. At the minute, we've got tough moments in terms of injuries and lads digging in, and doing well. I'd say through this adversity, but start of the season, we know you can make up a points gap with a good run. I want to know what it's like when we've got to get 3 points with 2 games left to go up. It's going to be interesting to see when you've lost Coops and Ayling and the players like that. Or Dallas, he don't play. You forget he were there last season. In changing room, and it's going to be interesting to see how this young group, who they're young but they are experienced. Even like Ramazan is fairly young, but he scored at Bernabeu. You've got experience within these younger players still, but people like Matteo Joseph. I hope he comes good and he gets his scoring boots on. But like you say, as it gets into the tougher moments, that's the only thing I sort of worry about, because we're very Leeds and this is a very inexperienced side as well. You know what I mean? We'll see how it goes. But I'm waffling on now. But I'm loving season. I'm loving getting stuff with you guys. So I'm just ultra positive. I think we'll do well. I think we'll do really well. But I think we'll leave it there anyway, lads. So anyway, anyone who's watching, anyone who's yet to watch, please go over and check out Darren and Dylan at Onlyleedsbros. They're absolutely mint lads, and we've got some really exciting news. Maybe Wednesday or Thursday coming up. We'll put some out to let you know what we're up to. We've got a bit of a good concept, and hopefully you'll like it, and hopefully it'll be something that we really enjoy doing every week. So I'm really excited for that. So brilliant. But go check them out. Stick it. Thank you very much. That was my first live. Hopefully it went okay.
Class.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Take care.
Class, no, thanks for having us on, mate. Appreciate it.
Thanks, good.
Thanks, buddy.
Take care, guys.
See you later. Thanks.